Hey y'all! So, I am going to insert the cleaning brushes at the beginning of this video, but this whole video was basically just me like tidying up, getting rid of old things. You know, the new year is coming. We don't need no old products. And then personally, like I've been personally, since I became an esthetician, like I've learned so much and still continuing to learn so much from other MUAs and estheticians as far as like when to throw products out, the shelf life of products. That really matters. So if your products are really telling you 12 months, 24 months, and you've had them for 4 or 5 years, they need to go. But yeah, you're gonna do that with me today.
Hello. So first we're going to start by sitting down. I want to start off by showing you the whole cup of brushes that I have to wash. Now mind you, it took about maybe an hour to wash this, but I'm going to show you how to do it in 21 minutes. Throughout this video, you will see me do some TikToks. I like to film simultaneously on days that I do film, just because it makes it easier to create boatloads of content versus having to stress out throughout the week. Here you just see me using some baby shampoo and water. That is a silicone brush thing that I have to use to clean. It came actually with a pack of sponges that I had, but you can honestly pick these up at Ulta or any type of beauty supply that sells makeup. Being well organized is essential if you're a makeup artist. It doesn't matter if you're a minimalist whose makeup kit rarely holds anything or a drawer, or if you're a person who's an expert. You should always be well organized and your brushes should always be cleaned, at least once a week. As you see here what I'm doing, I'm actually shaping the bristles of the brush. The reason why I'm doing that is because you do not want the bristles of the brush to end up drying that way and end up drying disformed and ruining them. I like to place the brushes on the edge of the counter to make sure that they dry and don't have bacteria trapped inside. Whenever you place a brush on top of a towel or covered by a towel, you're running the risk of that bacteria, so you want to make sure you place it on the edge of the counter. A lot of people like to think that product honestly makes your makeup, but in my opinion, it's the brushes. Your foundation is your brushes, and that's why it's important to invest in a few key brushes. Some key brushes are blush brushes, eyeshadow brushes, eyebrow brushes, and eyeliner brushes. When I say invest in your brushes, I'm not talking about spend $100 or more for a good quality brush. Some of the cheapest but still good quality can be found at beauty supplies or art supply stores, and some makeup artist lines depending on the price and the makeup artists themselves. Now you may be asking, well T, where am I supposed to find a good quality brush? Well, I'm here to help with assessing brush quality. And the reason why you do this is to make sure that they're worth the buy. When assessing for brushes, you want to know what you're looking for. That should be top number one. Write a list just to stay organized. Like I said, organization is key. Next, I say do your research. Know what brushes are worth the quality. And what I mean by that is you have animal, you have synthetic. Animal is your natural type of bristles, and synthetic are the synthetic fibers that are a lot more rougher compared to a natural animal bristle. We'll get more into that later in the video. Okay girl, so now when you're inside the store and you finally made that list and got organized and did your research as far as natural and synthetic, now you need to move into how does the brush feel? Put it on your skin. Is it too rough? Can you handle it? Is the brush too heavy? Next, you're wanting to rub your fingers through the brush. The reason why you want to rub your fingers through the brush is to make sure that the brush is not shedding. You don't want to be blending on your face and you just have all the bristles on your face and ruining your makeup. So you want to make sure that you have a brush that's not going to fall apart on you. Okay, y'all, so don't come for me. I believe this is the brush that I like to use for my foundation applications. When you see it, it is going to be a little bit discolored. I did clean it to the fullest of its potential, but because I actually used that brush pretty heavily for my foundation, it was hard to get all the discoloration outside the bristles, but I do promise you it's clean. Alright, honeys, so next we're going to get into brush size. I have to tell you, and I mean this, my ladies, my gentlemen, my makeup lovers, stop using the brushes that comes inside the applicators. The reason why I say that is because they are often not going to allow you to apply your product exactly how you want it. You should use a brush that's actually designed for its purpose that you're using. For example, if you're trying to blush, use a blush brush. If you're trying to contour, use a contour brush. The reason why I say that is because when you start to look at different brushes, they're angled a certain way for certain parts of the face. A blush brush is actually going to be angled a certain way to make sure that it bevels on the apples of the cheeks. Like I mentioned earlier, now we're going to talk about the different type of bristle brushes that you have. You have the option of a natural bristle brush, which is actually squirrel, goat, pony, or sable. Those brushes are very soft and offer a natural type of blend. They're best for powder-based products such as blush, powder, and eyeshadow. Next, you have your synthetic bristles. They're best for creamy products such as concealer, gel liners, and lip colors. Those bristles are often stiffer and allow for better control of product. In some cases, using a natural bristle brush for certain creamy products honestly will give you a more natural blend. And the reason why I say this is yes, for synthetic bristles, creamy products are best used for those type, and for naturals you want to use more powder based. But I actually have a cream to powder blush that I like to use with a natural bristle brush just because it gives it that softer diffuse look. So I say this to say, my boos, it's all in your preference in which you think is best used and what's easier for you to use. There's no rules to makeup, there's just tips. Next, I would like to talk about some essential tools outside of the ones that I listed earlier in the video. First, I'd like to say a blush brush. It's wide to cover apples of the cheeks and their beveled and curved edges and typically have soft natural hair. Next would be your bronzer brush. They are thicker and fuller than a blush brush with a flat profile. Next would be a brow brush. They're short, stiff bristles and cut at an angle, and they're either synthetic or naturally haired bristles. 100% synthetic is way too stiff and it will not allow you to apply your product properly. Next, let's talk about a concealer brush. Your concealer brushes are typically firm but soft bristles. They're glossy synthetic hairs and they're tapered to reach difficult areas like the inner corner of the eyes. Next, you have your eye blender brush. They are typically soft, fluffy, natural haired, and they apply powders to set correctors, concealers, or foundations around the eyes or a blemish on the face specifically. Next, we have our eye contour brush. Our eye contour brush is round, flat-headed, natural haired, and they apply a great amount of shadow in the crease of the contour of the eye just to add more depth into that eye. Our eye shader brush is going to be wide, flat head brush, and it sweeps shadow color on the entire lid of the brow. So basically, when you're going to set your eyes after putting a base on to apply shadows, that's the brush that you'll want to go in with. Eyeshadow brush. It's wide to cover at least one half the lid. They're naturally soft, rounded bristles with beveled edges to sweep shadow on the lower lid without causing any harsh lines. Next, you have your eye smudge brush. It's a small head brush that's slightly rounded but also flexible bristles to smudge liner to create an eye smoky look. Alright huns, next we have our eyelash curler. You need to be replacing those pads regularly, but they're meant to curl your eyelashes. People like to apply after, but you need to curl before you apply your mascara. It's just to avoid breakage of the hairs. So I know we discussed several types of brushes. We honestly can have the list go on and on. There's eyeliner brushes such as angled flat and ultra fine. There's a face blender brush. There's face powder brushes, foundation brushes, lip brushes, powder brushes, sponges, touch-up brushes, and tweezers. Lastly, your fingers. Your fingers are always going to be your most essential tool. And I hope you like the tips and like me cleaning the brushes. Let's move on to cleaning my drawer out. Alright, so first we starting with drawer number 1, and that is drawer number 2, and then we move on to drawer number 3, and then next we are going to move on to drawer number 4. Yes, it's a mess, y'all, a mess, and we got the handy dandy trash can on standby. Let's get into throwing this makeup out. Trash, girl, trash. A lot of these products I've had genuinely for at least half my career in makeup. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I barely work out that drawer. Starting 2023, my plan was to, like I said, be more organized. I'm practicing what I'm preaching, you guys. I'm not just telling y'all, I'm telling myself. In certain parts of the video, you are going to see me leave certain products in the drawer, and reason being is because those products are not old. I've had them within the past year or at least 6 months, so that's why some of them remain. And look, I'm showing you the pads that need to be changed regularly. I will not be using that curler until I change that pad. So these are highlighters that I've had for at least a while. Wet n Wild is one of my favorite highlighters, but you saw that it was broken. Anything that is broken has to be tossed out. It doesn't matter if you've had it for 6 months or if you've had it for a year. Once that lid is broken, it gots to go. Just because you're having all that air and any bacteria or anything can touch that product, and now you're smearing it all over your face. You're welcome. I know y'all saw that drawer fall. It's gonna happen again, just watch. But anyway, we are working outside of drawer number 3 at this point. Row 1 and 2 was on the left side. This is now row 3. We are just gonna move the drawer to the ground just because it kept falling and didn't nobody have time for that. So now we just going through and getting rid of all of that. I'm being honest with you, a lot of that makeup stuff, like I said, I've had since before high school. I am going on 23 January 31st. So yeah, it's gotta go. So fun fact, I think I share with you guys, this stacker actually used to belong to my mom. It is one of the first makeups that I ever had my hands on. So shout out to you, Mom, for letting me get my hand on that. So I want to know how many of you have a bad habit of hoarding makeup and not throwing your makeup away. Like, I have an attachment to my clothes, so I have a bad habit with not throwing my clothes out. But my makeup, when it comes to my skin or anything skincare, I have no attachment to throw that away. But I know that some people do. So how many of you do? So here you will see me test this loose pigment. I have never ever opened this packaging or put my finger in it. As long as the package has not been tampered with or your finger has not been put in it and you've tested the color out and the color payoff works fine, you're okay. Let me give you the tea behind this. I used to put that in my inner corner highlight all the time in middle school and high school. I don't even know why. Don't judge. I never used this e.l.f. high definition setting powder only because it had crystals in it. And when it would set sparkly and ashy. So it wasn't for my skin type personally. So that's why I got tossed. Plus it was old. Those Wet n Wild pigments that you see that I'm pulling out, I set them aside in the video because I had planned on keeping them, but in actuality I ended up tossing out everything that I had planned on keeping, so nothing made it to the roster for real. Now, I'm not gonna lie, LA Girl then came up, LA Colors then came up. I used to stay getting those brands just because they were the cheaper brands when I was younger and I always wanted to play in makeup. But certain products like their Pro Girl Concealer, okay, I know I'm gonna have it. So my girl Almay here acted like she didn't want to focus. I kept trying and trying, but the reason why she got tossed is because she was crusty. It was actually a very, very beautiful quad, but I did not want it anymore. Now listen, you heard me at the beginning of the video. That was one eyebrow palette that I used to use that little small little brush when I was in middle school to draw my eyebrows. It used to get the job done, but like I said, do not use brushes that come in the packaging. Just use an actual eyebrow brush. Oh, I know that sticker does not say Rite Aid. I have never shopped at Rite Aid. Actually, yeah, nah, I ain't never shop at Rite Aid a day of my life. But yeah, those are Dollar Tree palettes, I think. Did not work, and that was crusty. That was actually an eye paint. It was a beautiful eye paint, but it hardened, so it had to go. As y'all can see, y'all, there was no holding back in this decluttering. I promise you, everything got tossed out. But you'll be surprised to see how full my drawers look by the end of this video. There are a bunch of lashes that are in the back. Those remain just because you don't have to toss lashes out. Lashes don't have a shelf life. It's mainly those products that are cream products, powder products, the ones that you are consistently dipping in. The only time you should really throw your lashes out is when they're gunky and they're starting to fall apart. Really, honestly, after 3 to 4 uses, they need to go for real. Like I said, you see me throwing products in there like I was gonna keep them for real, but I didn't. Next, you're gonna see me working on top of my vanity. This is a 3-tier acrylic case. There are 3 separate parts, a bottom, a middle, and a top. My stepmother actually bought this for me for my 16th birthday, I believe. It was a surprise along with the vanity with everything custom. You see I'm stepping back. She did that. Shout out to you. The lip pencils I have had since my freshman year of high school. I remember my grandmother actually took me makeup shopping and I went crazy in the beauty supply store. But they had to go just because I didn't use them for a long time. Honestly, they were not pigmented. They were waxy, not creamy. So yeah, that's why they made it to the trash. And look at me still setting stuff aside like I'm gonna keep it for real. And I really didn't. Like, that lipstick needed to go. It's never been opened, as you can see. How many of you actually buy makeup and it just sits in your drawer and you do not use it? Can I get a cleanup on aisle 13, please? Because we overflowing. It was a mess. It was a lot. And I still had more to get rid of. Absolutely had too much clutter. It was time to go. This is your sign to go and clean your makeup out. So my acrylic case had 3 layers. Like I said, 2 of the layers consisted of lipsticks and the bottom layer consisted of nothing but eyeliner pencils. I did end up keeping 2 of those Remy lipsticks just because they were not used and they were still fairly new. I used to love using that shimmery lip gloss on my nude lips, only because it would add an extra to the lip. I like to put it specifically in the center. This right here is a lip brush, a retractable lip brush. They should only be used on yourself. You should never use these on clients. And we made it into the next lip drawer. That is a sugar scrub for the lip. I did not like it when I did use it and was actively using it. It actually would dry my lips out and cause them to be irritated. So I don't know if I was allergic to the product or what, but it did not work in my favor. My top acrylic cases, I normally keep my eyebrow shavers, which I don't use anymore because I do wax, because I am a waxer, and then I would keep my contacts. But this is just showing the top of my vanity, and this is everything after. These are the products that I am actively using and that are still good to use. In this section, I like to keep my base. So this is really my bases and my cream products. Back here are my bronzers, my highlighters, and I moved that e.l.f. setting spray up to the front. Moving on to the next drawer is my eye stuff and my eyebrow stuff. It has loose pigments underneath all the eyelashes and things like that, and then in the back is my face palettes that have bronzer, contour, or highlighter in them. Moving on into the second to the last drawer, this actually has my makeup palettes and any extra brushes that I may use. Also a paint palette, shout out to my coworker for that. Next we're moving into the skincare drawer or the miscellaneous, so it has some hair mask in there as well. And then right there holds my bags, any extra makeup bags that I may have. And lastly, this drawer is just miscellaneous things like extra add-ons like jewels and foil and things like that. At the time of this video, I was packing for Christmas and preparing for the new year, but this is the end of the video. Thank you for watching. I love you guys.